having small talk? Do we talk about the weather? Do we talk about, the traffic? And I think those are some commonly used topics to kind of break the ice. We also want to look at other avenues of conversation that can build a deeper relationship on the person that we are communicating and talking to at an event or for the first time. So, what are some of the areas that we can talk about? Well, we use this acronym called Ford, the American Car Company. So, FORD. So, first thing is family. So, I think family is an area of discussion that we can talk to build rapport. And one of the best ways to talk about family is to talk about our own family and what we are doing with our family over the weekend. So, for example, for myself, I would say something along the lines of, I'm really looking forward to this weekend. I usually take my son swimming, and he's starting to kind of get a habit of learning and being comfortable in the water and slowly starting to swim on his back. This tells the other person a couple things. A, I have a son. B, that they're interested in learning about swimming. So that could be another two areas of discussion that they can talk to. And what I find is by having started that conversation, the other person can go to one of those two routes. If they have family, maybe they can talk about their son or daughter, or they can talk about the swimming in general. So those are great ways to kind of get to know the other person regarding their family situation. The next topic could be occupation. That's really easy. I think we all of us can do that. You'd say, I am have experience in this industry. What do you do? How long have you been in that industry? So again, another way to kind of learn a little bit about the other person's occupation, yet sharing yourself first. R is recreation. So again, what are we interested in doing? What are our hobbies and interests? And again, it all starts from sharing what we are planning to do on the weekend. So right after swimming, I'm going to take my son to watch the Blue Jays game. I really do like watching baseball, and teaching that to my son is really important for him to really enjoy the baseball atmosphere, the battle between the pitcher and the batter as they throw the ball, and the batter will try to hit that ball. So I really like to engage in that because I do enjoy baseball and talking about the Toronto Blue Jays. So again, it gives the other person avenues on where they can have that discussion or learn more about baseball and showing your interest, right? And then lastly, dreams. What are some of the dreams that we have, whether it's for ourselves or for our family, right? And one of the best ways that I like to kind of start with this conversation is, the lottery for this weekend is, I think, $70 million here on the Lotto Max. So what would you do with that money, right? What are some of the things that you would do utilizing if you won that lottery? So again, it's a great discussion to kind of learn a little bit about their dreams in terms of that, or you can ask about maybe where would you like to travel or what's your future. Again, a lot of great areas to discuss, and you get to know a little bit more about the other person. So again, a great technique for small talk is Ford, family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. And all you have to do is just talk to one of the four topics there. And again, that will help you in terms of knowing a little bit more about the other person, having a little bit more meaningful conversation. The second thing that we have to think about when it comes to communication, when we're talking to employers here or people in their network, is knowing the Canadian terminology, vocabulary is for your field is really important. So for example, for some of us who are looking for work in the banking industry, we may have used the term current account, which here in Canada would mean a checking account. And it's really important to be able to distinguish and use the appropriate language so that the employer knows that you have that baseline terminology that will be used here and that will not confuse their customers. So it is really important as we move to Canada, settle, start doing the research, is knowing the proper vocabulary and terminology in the industry here in Canada. Last thing I want to get you to think about is think of the target audience for the message. I know everyone talks about how you have to prepare for your introduction. And what I'd like you to think about that is once you have that introduction, think about who the audience and you may need to modify the message depending on who you speak to, whether it's a person that's in your field, maybe it's a person in the company you want to work, maybe you're talking to someone who isn't quite in your field. And how do you communicate your introduction to match the targeted audience of that message? Okay. Along these lines, the next thing I want to kind of talk about that's really important is networking advice. And I think we all learned and heard that networking is really the key to success. And here are some of the stages that I want to kind of share with you and talk about. So number one, the first one is research. So we really do have to find and research who it is that we want to do. And one of the things that I think is really important is go on LinkedIn. It is a professional networking network platform. Great way for you to research people within your industry. What I would suggest looking into when you are researching for people is looking for the organizations you want to work for, which department that you're targeting. Looking at see if those individuals have worked in your previous companies that you worked at. Maybe they're from the same country. Maybe they are from the same school that you went to, right? And that way it could be a great icebreaker saying that you are new to the Toronto market or Canadian market and that you're looking for information in these areas. And then make meaningful connections. So just don't make and send off LinkedIn requests. See if you can connect them with them by email. And there are platforms out there to be able to guess and read and see what those emails could be and send them a message so that you have a little bit more room to be able to navigate and ask your questions and have your introduction. And then the last one is make relevant connections, right? You want to kind of strategize and talk about researching people who are in your same line of work that you're looking for and not stray too far out because they may not be able to assist you. So really look at your division that you're thinking about targeting. Okay. Then once you have this meeting and you have to start to think about asking the right questions, right? And talk about the different levels of context that you may have. So I kind of breaking this down to like 3 different levels. Level 1, think of questions that would help you in your job search. So this is really asking kind of to research and understand a little bit more about the industry. What are some of the skills? What are some of the trends? How do things work here in Canada? Just so that, again, you understand the vocabulary, what your role is here in Canada, so that you can then learn and see, okay, how does that relate to your experience or how you can adapt from your experience to the Canadian market? And I think those are great level 1 questions. Level 2. Think of questions that can show you understand the industry and market. That's really important, right? Where you have to be able to show that you belong here in Canada, right? And I think that's really a key where a lot of newcomers, they think, okay, I have to enter or start at an entry level role. And that's It's not really true. You have a lot of great skills and experience that the Canadian employers want to hire. You just have to showcase to them that you already have a clear understanding of the trends, the challenges, the way it works here in the Canadian market. And these are kind of set up by level 2 questions so that you can showcase of your industry knowledge. And then level 3 is when you are targeting the managers and the directors and VP, people who can really create a position for you. And here, the questions that you can think of is to position that you are the problem solver, right? Asking questions of the challenges of all the research that you've done prior and pose questions that can start elicit a conversation of how you can be the solution or how you manage a challenge similar to this in the past. And that will help you to be able to communicate the key skills, help the employers really understand how your skills and experience can help their team move forward in the challenges that they're currently facing. So I think it's really important to be able to think of that. So those are really the tips that I have really quickly for networking, give you an idea of what that purpose of networking, communication, understanding the sector here in Canada to kind of help you move forward along the way. Now, I'll tell you a little bit about the sector-specific programs that we have here at Access and how they can help you find employment. So just to kind of give you a quick overview of the eligibility of the program. So both they require to be internationally trained professionals, so have experience in the industry, have a bachelor degree, a degree in business or related in that area, no relevant Canadian work experience, and a Canadian language benchmark of about 7 and 8 or IELTS level 7 as an equivalency. The program is open to Canadian citizens, convention refugees, permanent residents, refugee claimants, as well as at least a 1-year work permit. And there's some sub things that I'll go through here. So for the financial services, you need a minimum 1-year experience outside of Canada, where we also have another program, connections, that focus more on leadership, more senior roles, and they focus on the finance and IT sector with a minimum of 2 years experience outside of Canada, leading in senior management roles, and have an MBA or master's, which is preferred. So I'll tell you a little about the contents of the program. So the Financial Service Connections, it is online. We run this each quarter, and it is a 6-week program, full-time from Monday to Friday, from about 9:30 to 3:30 each day. What are some of the components? Well, we work with the Toronto Metropolitan University on workplace culture and communication. Here you'll learn a little bit about some of the nuances of manager feedback, understanding some of the codes, understanding once you get into the market, what's your expectations. We also provide about giving you information about the Canadian economy. So an overview of the Canadian economy and how do you move forward with that. We have something called critical and problem solving. This is future skills of something that employers are thinking about. So it's not just coming in and doing your job. It's now thinking about how will things evolve and technology evolve, and how do we critically think of how do we meet the next demand of the challenges that move forward. So for example, right now, AI is a big trend. How do we use AI effectively, right, into your role, and how to integrate that? So it's not just waiting for the employer to tell us what to do, but we have to start to kind of think about and strategize, how can we utilize this to help in our role and help the organization? The bulk of our work as well is the job search component. So we help you with your resume writing, interview skills, networking skills, helping you to prepare to make sure that when you go out there and apply, you're putting your best foot forward. And to me, it really comes down to how do you communicate your skills and experience in a way that employers are willing to listen. So we provide that. And of course, we have our employer connections, right? So we have our alumni that come in to kind of share with you. We have a pitch panel where we have employers come in and where you can introduce yourself and hear feedback. We also have speed mentoring events with RBC and other organizations as well that meet with employers so that you can speak to them. So think of it like speed dating, the concept where you meet with an employer for about 10 to 12 minutes. You can have discussion, learn, build that relationship, hopefully build that relationship so that you can have a meeting offline another time. And then once the bell rings at your 12-minute mark, you will move on to and meet with the next employer and start that process all over again. It's a lot of fun way to be able to showcase your skills and experience and learn something about the industry of the person that's in front of you. Of course, we partner with the Triad Mentoring Partnership Program, where again, we connect you with a mentor in your field so that for about 3 months to learn a little bit about industry insights, be able to showcase and hopefully utilize their internal network depending on your relationship with the mentor. And then, of course, we have the job fairs and recruitment events that will come on board that will be able to help you there. And then we also have pre and post hire support, right? So again, once we found employment, we are still there to support you. So if you're having any trouble in your workplace, had a difficult situations with your employer, we have that program and be able to help you. Of course, there is a program fee of $500 plus HST, and everybody is eligible to apply for reimbursement through the Ontario Bridging Participant Assistance Program. And most will be eligible for that amount to help cover the cost of the program. So that's a little bit about the financial services. We have another one, the Financial Service en Français. So it's very similar program, except for the only difference here is we work with College Royal instead of the Toronto Metropolitan University. And this is for professionals who are bilingual and are looking to work here in Canada in that area. So one of the other areas is that you must speak French at a high level. And then, of course, we have the Leadership Connections program. So again, similar 6-week program, and we partner with Humber College, and they do the leadership training. And here it's kind of looking at critical aspects of leading and managing in the Canadian context and digital talent. We also provide micro-credentials in coaching and developing others. But everything else is the same. So here are some of the information for our upcoming cohort. So again, please refer this later in the recording, or if you'd like to pause or write down the dates, they will there. We are currently looking at taking applications for our of cohort that'll be coming in the fall. Of course, you can always visit our website and learn a little bit more about our upcoming programs and services. Okay, I'm gonna see if there's any questions from the chat.
I thank you for that excellent presentation, as always. I like that you're always providing practical tips, information of on how to move forward, and your formula FORD. That's something I never think about because we're always at a loss about how to pick a conversation, start a conversation with somebody we don't know. And I like that you also talked about the stages of networking, because networking is, not just going to an event and talking to somebody. We need to do some research before we're figuring out what we need. And as always, lots of practical information. Thank you for sharing information about the courses you're offering, the timelines, and the cost of the program. So we have quite a few questions. Let's start off with the first one. So You have touched on this, but I'm going to ask about eligibility criteria. So, are international students eligible for your program?
Yeah, I think one of the key is to have a work permit of at least 1 year. And you have to be either in one of those areas. So, Canadian experience, permanent residents, refugee claimants, to be able to participate or have a work permit that is 1 year and have to meet all the other eligibility criteria.
Okay, great. And a lot of this information is also on your website.
That's correct.
So could you share opportunities and services that you're offering to people who are overseas and in the process of landing?
Great. Thank you for that question, Ramya. So we also have another program for those that are overseas and have that permanent residence. It's called the Canadian Employment Connections Program. And we have those in each of the different so here for banking and finance, we do have one for the financial service industry. It kind of gives you a quick webinar on each of the different areas that we talked about, resume interviews and job search tips. And then you're also connected to an employment consultant kind of working with you to make applications before you land here in Canada. And then once you land, how to help you to transition into the programs in the various different provinces that you may have landed here. Unfortunately, access and ARC programs are only available for Ontarians, so people who have located here in Ontario.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. We have a number of questions coming up about services being offered to those outside Ontario. So I'm going to say that, well, you could speak about services you're offering, and could you kindly talk about eligibility for digital programs as well?
Yeah, so for our digital program, we do have on our website e-access, where there's a lot of recorded webinars and presentations and information to support you in your job search. So we can access that information over there. And for those that have landed in other provinces, do look at the other provinces, as each province will have their own service provider who can support you in your job search.
Excellent. So if you go to a local settlement agency, just Google or look up settlement agencies in your province or the town you're in, and you can find programs like Access. However, as it was just pointed out, there are a number of recorded programs on CanadianImmigrant.ca as well, where you can find some guidance about and information about leads and resources to find job opportunities. So another question for you. Here we have quite a few questions, so let's see. But once again, where are your offices located? And as you said, you're Ontario based. Here's another question. As a former finance professional newcomer who has completed their MBA in Vancouver, can they benefit from the program?
Yeah, so I just kind of posted it up on the slide here, just the locations for those that are in the Toronto and the GTA area. And you can visit our sites and get in-person service. For the question regarding the former financial newcomer who completed an MBA in Vancouver, I would go to the school itself, as the school may have employment programs for MBA graduates, and they may have connections that the alums that they have created as well. So that's another network for you to engage with the Career Center, and they may be able to provide you with that support. If you are interested in ever access, unfortunately, again, access services are for those that are in Ontario. So if you live anywhere in Ontario and not located in the GTA, you can still participate in our bridging program, as our programs are virtual. We do have some days where we ask you to come in person, but we have the ability to do a hybrid. So some people are online and some are in person as well.
Great. So use all the resources, like uh, you're saying, use all the resources that are available, your alumni networks on Facebook, even LinkedIn networks, and make those connections and network. And of course, the programs that Access Employment and other organizations, settlement agencies are offering across the country that you could also take advantage of and make your transition to Canada and um, build careers in your new home. So my next question is about the French classes. So there is someone who's saying that if you don't have the CLB level, I think it is level 8 that is required for the French classes. Can they still take those programs, or is there some sort of a certificate you need to, that they have that certain level, the required level?
Yeah, thanks for having us. So for the En Français program, the primary focus is speaking French. So if you have that, the CLB requirement may be lower in that, where we're looking at maybe level CLB 6, 5, 6, if we're focusing really on employment in a bilingual setting. But if you are French speaking and have a strong command of French, we are able to also accept you into that program as well.
Okay, great. So, if you have other questions, we will just encourage you to contact Access. Would you like to share an email address, a generic email address? Yes, there it is. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
So, thank you for also sharing your phone number. So, if there are other questions that you have, I'd encourage you to write directly to COC, and you can have your questions answered. If there are other questions, you can always write to us at info@canadianimmigrant.ca. Excuse me. We publish a lot of articles, and this is based on questions that come in from our readers. So feel free to send us a message, and we will find an expert to cover that article on our website. So before we go to our friends at Scotiabank, I am going to ask Laura to show a video from Western Union, who is one of the sponsors for this event. Thank you, Laura. Thank you so much for that. So, so next up, we have speakers from Scotiabank joining us today. So we're thrilled to welcome Rochelle Mendonça, the Program Manager of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion and Talent Acquisition, Kelvin Benziger, Senior Consultant, Talent Acquisition Technology, and Megs Cornelio, Assistant Manager, Kingston Financial Center, Canadian Banking. So thank you all for joining us today and participating in this web conference that is presented in partnership with Access Employment. So thank you for being here. So if you have questions for Rochelle, Calvin, or Megs, please type them in the chat or the Q&A, or email us at info@canadianimmigrant.ca. And yes, there we already have Rochelle's sharing her screen. So Rochelle, please go ahead.
Hey everyone. Sorry, I know I shared my screen in advance. Just wanted to make sure it's working.
Perfect.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be here today, presenting in today's webinar along with my colleagues Calvin and Max about career opportunities in life at Scotiabank. So just before I get started, I'd like to kind of like give a little bit introduction about myself. So I'm Rochelle Mendonça, Program Manager, DE&I at the Talent Acquisition Team. I've been an immigrant myself, came with my family 3 years ago to Canada. And as the popular quote says, like, I'm currently living the Canadian dream. So I joined Scotiabank 2.5 years. It's been a great, great journey so far. In the last 2.5 years, this is my second role as well. So we have been very fortunate to actually grow my career within Scotiabank. So I actually applied for a job while I was at Scotiabank and then got my second role, which I'm currently am in. And I am joined with my colleagues Calvin Benziger, who's also the Senior Talent Acquisition Consultant Technology, and Max Carnello, who's the Assistant Manager for Kingston Financial Center. So what I would like to talk about in today's agenda is about Scotiabank and why Scotiabank. Diversity that's within Scotiabank. We're going to go through careers within Scotiabank and working in technology, interviews, do's and don'ts, a success story that Megs would like to share, and career growth in the Canadian banking team. So about Scotiabank, and I'm very hopeful that you all have seen Scotia branches everywhere. Scotiabank is a leading bank in the Americas, guided by our purpose for every future. So that's a marketing tagline, for every future. For every future is also the articulation of our core purpose and vision, which inspires us to be and do our best. Also recognizing the impact we make for customers and the world. So, we have been like also internationally recognized, received several awards. We're constantly hiring, always looking for fresh talent, always looking for unique skills. And I did like the presentation before by Access Employment, which spoke about transferable skills as well. So we're also looking at people who can offer those unique transferable skills. You don't necessarily have to have the same skills in order to apply. Our employees are always rewarded for their contribution. We have a great rewarding and applause platform where you're constantly motivated by your leaders, constantly motivated by your peers in order to do your best. And as I mentioned, we're always driven by our core values and, that put our people first. So why Scotiabank? Okay, our values at Scotiabank ensure we're aligned with the bank's purpose and how we conduct ourselves with our peers and with our customers. So we have 4 key values, which is respect, integrity, passion, and accountability. Respect is something where we value every voice within the bank. Integrity is we act with honor. Passion, we always try to do our best. And you would see that in reflection if you do join Scotiabank. And accountability is we strive to make things happen. We're accountable for whatever task we take, and we strive to make that happen. So as a potential candidate, you may ask, why Scotiabank? Right? So these are some of the benefits that are outlined within Scotiabank. This is few of the many benefits that we have. Our compensation is very competitive as per the market standards as well. We've got the annual incentive plan. Like every other company, we also have a defined contribution pension plan and employee share ownership plan. We have great medical benefits. I think what also stands out in terms of medical is we provide 10,000 every year to employees towards mental health benefit. And I see that an extremely important benefit for people, who are looking for, mental health for themselves or for their family. We've got some great, vacations. Like I personally love the vacations here because I could actually take the opportunity and enjoy my summer or any given break that I, want to take with my family. We have several programs that can actually enable our career growth. So, for example, we've got like more than 1,000 online courses, which are actually offered for career growth and development. We've got several programs internally that can also enable employees to grow internally. For example, in my case as well, I was part of several programs. I had the opportunity to participate, in several programs, and thanks to Scotiabank, who had that platform to kind of offer employees to enroll and participate in these programs, for probably roles laterally or roles, which is horizontally as well. And then we also have a lot of volunteer opportunities, which is like the employee resource group and volunteer opportunities, where, this is obviously side of your desk kind of an opportunity. But that's something that if you do feel passionate about something, you definitely will enjoy and feel motivated, feel like you're doing and giving back to the community. This is a slide. I'm not going to go in depth. These are some of the awards and recognitions that Scotiabank received in the last quarter. Some of the things that stand out is we've been recognized as one of the best workplaces in Canada, named as Canada's best diversity employers, been named the 2024 best bank in Canada, and several of the other awards. So on diversity talent programs and employee resource groups. So and for me, this is something that's very close to my heart because I am in the D&I space. Scotiabank is a workplace that embraces diversity. We embrace equity and inclusion. It's a very key part of advancing the bank's mandate as well. So we strive to create a very inclusive culture where every employee is empowered to reach their fullest potential. You are respected for who you are, and we also ensure that everyone's differences, similarities are embraced. In all, we all strive to create an environment where everybody can be their authentic selves. We also have something called the employee resource groups. It's also known as the ERGs. And as you can see, Scotiabank has a wide range of ERGs. So what is ERGs? ERGs are grassroots initiatives that amplify the voice of Scotiabank's diversity. These groups provide an opportunity for employees to learn, to grow, participate in any of the diverse groups. So if someone is a newcomer, you can feel free to join the newcomer group. If you are somebody that if you're a woman and you want to feel connected to all women within the bank, that's something that you can feel free to join. So these groups are a great way to encourage you to explore. There are lots of programs offered at each ERG. Me being part of the D&I team, we work very closely with ERGs, and I personally love how each community is so connected, where employees have opportunities to feel safe and grow. I will now pass on the mic to Calvin to speak about careers with Scotiabank.
Thank you, Rochelle. Hey, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Kelvin Anthony Pensiger. I am part of the technology hiring team at Scotiabank. I've been here with the bank for about 3 years now. I am an immigrant myself. I came here in 2016. It's been about 8 years. And Scotiabank is my third employer. I'm loving it so far. And I think I'll be here for a very, very long time. Now, today I am going to be talking a bit about the careers with Scotiabank, and what you see on the slide are some of the lines of businesses or verticals that we have within the bank. Starting with Canadian banking, then we have global banking and markets, international banking, global wealth management, corporate functions, Tangerine, global operations and technology. Canadian banking is where most of the retail and commercial operations happen, like your retail branches. Then you have any retail product that the bank has falls within the Canadian banking segment. Then we have global banking and markets, which deals with capital markets as well as investments. International banking, as the previous speakers mentioned, we are present internationally. We are in Europe, we are in UK. We are in the US as well as in the Latin American regions. Global wealth management, again, it's all about asset management, wealth management. We deal with them a lot. Corporate functions, relates to HR, procurement, and any division that enables the other functions within any organization. So that will include HR, procurement, finance, marketing, sales. All of those functions would fall under corporate functions. Then we have Tangerine. Tangerine is a digital bank which Scotiabank acquired, I think, about 10 years ago. The only difference between Tangerine and the other top banks in in the country is that Tangerine does not have a retail branch. So anytime a customer wants to bank with Tangerine, the only possible option is either through the web or the mobile applications, right? Then we have global operations, and then finally technology. Technology is the backbone. Anytime we want to bank, we either use our phones or we use our laptops or we use the ATM. Everything is technology, right? Next slide, please, Roshan. That's introduction to technology, and we're going to be talking a bit about the different pillars that we usually hire. For those of us, like I've been reading the chats, and I see that most of you are from the finance background. But if we have the IT crowd there, I mean, this is for you as well as if anybody is willing to get into IT, I mean, this could be some bit of information for you as well. So we have developers, we hire cybersecurity professionals, we hire in the infrastructure and operations segment, as well as functional roles. Developers simply means anything and everything that's related to coding, be it any programming language, Java, Python, .NET, whatever it is. Cybersecurity itself is a huge space. I mean, we have a lot of these opportunities within the segment. We have security operation control, we have network operation control, we have firewalls, we have cloud security, a lot of them. Coming to infrastructure and operations, anything that deals with networks, anything that deals with servers, cloud operations, all that would fall under the third category. And functional roles, just opposite to developers, anything that is non-coding, such as your business analysts, your project managers, your program managers, any role that doesn't revolve around coding would fall under functional category. Next slide, Roshan. Fun facts. Okay, so I'm a recruiter for the last 18 years, and I believe, and I've always found it difficult to source for niche roles. And the way that we found success is always through candidates that been referred by employees of the organization. So that way, 43% of the hires are through employer referrals. Next slide, please. Interviews. This is a very important topic that I would like to talk to you about. Now, when we talk about interviews, this is a very important aspect in your career journey. And it requires a lot of preparation. In my opinion, out of the 100% effort that we put in to be successful in our career, 30% would go in finding the right opportunity. And then 30% goes in preparing a good resume for the opportunity that we found. And the rest 40% really will have to be put in terms of preparing for the interview, right? Now, always keep in mind, you can add, delete, and discover what you're going to be writing on your resume, what you're going to be talking in an interview, but never invent. Like, don't put anything that you've not have experience with, because that's going to spoil the entire process, right? Now, these are some of the interviews do's and don'ts. The first slide talks about the do's. This is something which we would have heard about in the past, and I am here to share my suggestions and opinions about what we need to do and what we will have to try and avoid. The first one, be a very active listener. Now, active listening will actually help you understand the role better, help you understand the question better, then also help us understand, kind of give the right answers, right? That's very important that you, pay attention to every detail that's been shared during the interview. The next thing is like coming prepared. That's very, very important. As I told you before, the 30-30-40 rule is very important. You have to understand the role that we are applying for. We have to understand what's been written on the resume. And we also have to prepare for the interview. Go through the job descriptions, read the job description in detail, read the summary, read the what I say must-have skills, read about the nice-to-have skills. That'll give you an idea whether to even apply to the role or not. Now, once you feel comfortable, you feel that you have the required skill set to apply for the role, then I mean you're almost successful in the interview. And then mentioning your strengths, very important. Like, I mean, more than what you've done, tell what you can do, right? And how you can do it. Because, I mean, your strengths, if not, like, I mean, if you don't match the must-have skills, you can always talk about the nice-to-have skills that you have, right? And be genuine. Like, I mean, if you do the 30-30-40 rule, you will naturally be genuine, right? I mean, you will be yourself. We will be ourselves and during the interviews. Next slide, please. The next one, these are some of the don'ts. These are some of things that we try and avoid during the interview. Very first thing is like memorizing the script. Please be very natural. Don't sound scripted. Like, for example, a very common mistake that we all do during the interview is that when we are asked to talk about ourselves, we just talk what's there on the resume, right? So talking about ourselves not necessarily means we have to kind of repeat what's given on the resume. The interview can see what we have mentioned in the resume, but speak about yourself and keep it very short and crisp, maybe about a line or two about yourself. Like, I mean, what are you? Where are you from? Like, I mean, your family background and things like that, right? So, and keep it very simple so that you make the interviewer talk and you understand what the interviewer's mindset is, and then you can accordingly answer. And then don't be very vague, be very precise, like to the point. Give them a lot of examples. At the same time, make sure that you keep the stories kind of short and simple so that you know where to end, right? I mean, you can use the star methodologies, like where you understand the situation, and then you kind of give them the right answers, right? Being negative, this is a very important thing to be avoided. Remember, we are not talking to our family, or we are not talking to a friend. We are talking to an interviewer that we did not know before, right? It's very important to be positive. And I'm not saying that, I mean, we have to conceal, or we have to be not truthful about what had happened. We have to talk what happened. I mean, it is very important that we speak the truth, but it is very important that we put it in a very positive way, right? I mean, so there are a lot of phrases that we need to avoid, like maybe bad or stressful or work overload, but instead use phrases like you can use phrases like I just made a note of it. Give me 1 minute. Yeah, so you can use those phrases like tough, challenging, instead of using phrases like bad or stressful or being overloaded with work. Those might sound negative during an interview. And the last one is embellish. Like if you prepare on all of these, I'm sure, I mean, you will be true to yourself and speak to yourself. Be very authentic, be yourself, and make sure that you talk just about yourself and what you are and what you're capable of doing. Next slide, please. With that, I will pass it on to Mex to introduce to the banking journey.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thank you, Kelvin, and thank you, Rochelle. Yes, so before begin, first of all, let me just congratulate everyone, because you're already one step closer to landing your job in the banking industry simply by having the conscious effort to attend this webinar. So please tap yourself in the back. I may not see you, but do so, right? It will make you feel better. It also means to say that you've already been maybe a few steps ahead or on track of your plan in finding a job, because you've zeroed down on a webinar that is dedicated to the financial industry. So well done. So before I share my journey, let me just introduce myself quickly. Like Kelvin and Rochelle, I did land here some 6 years ago with an employment background of over 10 years in HR as an HR business partner in a BPO company in Asia, and with an education in mass communication. So go figure, why am I in the banking and finance realm, right? So as an HR business partner, I was supporting operations leaders in terms of performance, people, and policies. And a few of my clients in my plantilla then were actually US-based financial companies. So yes, I did tap on these experiences. So in the next slide, I'll be sharing with you my own thought process. Let me just begin by saying that coming here, everyone can attest to it. It's not easy. Okay, it's not for the faint of heart to start all over again. But if you're organized and committed to do what is necessary for you to be successful, everything can be attainable. So let me just share here. Here are some reflective questions that you can ask yourself, even when you're still at in your home country. It's actually better that way. So first is, what are you good at? Right? I'm pretty sure that we are experts at few little things and skills that we can tap. So first, enlist all the skills and competencies that you could translate to jobs or roles within an organization. I will share with you some of my strengths and skills that I was able to use in my journey. And then, of course, what are the past experiences you do have that you can leverage for an equivalent or similar role? Okay. Number two, what are you prepared to do? Okay. It's already a sacrifice enough, right, to uproot yourself or your family to come here in North America, in Canada, or wherever you would want to take it, right? So you have to make sure that all of your resources are actually stretched. Okay. So here are like what compromises. So some compromises of some teammates that I've known is that, are you willing to go back to school part-time and work part-time as well while trying to find the career that you want, right? So again, when people take that route, of course, they would have to consider like their resources financially, time as well, right? Not everyone comes here when they are 18 years old or something. Some are coming in mid of their lifetime, right? So again, are you looking for a job or a career? Are you looking, so when we say job, are you looking simply for an opportunity that would just pay the bills? Or are you looking at a career where you are getting the income that you want, right, to sustain your family or yourself, and looking for that career growth and personal growth, right? So there's a huge difference. Number three, Quote actually touched on this one on research. Which organizations do you want to be associated with, right? So it's the equal due diligence of knowing the organization you're applying to, right? So researching, if employers are being selective, so are you as an applicant, especially if you know what you're kind of bringing into the table, right? So career growth. So for me, it was, I'm looking for career growth with a company that has a people first culture. And I have witnessed this first time because I've been here with the company during COVID. And that's when Scotiabank has actually stepped up their game. Okay. Number four, how quick do you want to get there? There is no one way of getting there, right? To finding a job or a career. It could take like a straight line for some, but for others, it could be a little crooked, but you'll get there. So here you will be dictating your pace and being accountable to your own growth. But the most important thing is coming here with a plan and being able to articulate it, say, to a family member or to a mentor, right? Because even if you're trying to look for a job, having a plan, or when you've landed the job, having a plan and able to articulate it would give you all of these other opportunities down the road. Okay. So if we can hit the next slide. So in a nutshell, shoot your shot, but be strategic. So before, I've done a couple of applications by quantity. For a short while, I did get some successes, but it wouldn't be enough. So I shifted the strategy to quality. So I started with like, what are the services and products that I am now using? Because I can now speak to that experience as a customer. And at the same time, I do have an understanding of the roles that I'm looking for from the perspective of a client before. So when I did apply, I applied in both online platform, and I'm kind of old school. I hand delivered those resume and introduced myself. It's like when you're selling something online. Before COVID, there was this line, see to appreciate. So it was the same logic. Okay. So here are the skills and some of the strengths that I was able to tap in the process of looking at job and an organization to apply to. So one, customer service. So BPO, we take a lot of customer concerns and all that, understanding how to serve clients satisfactorily and knowing what a good customer's service looks like, right? So all of us are customers in different establishments, in our own financial institution, right? So we know if we've actually received a good customer service or not. Number two, mentorship. I am quite passionate about sharing learnings and teaching others to be equally better and to grow. So I came from a large family of 4 boys. I have 4 siblings, right? So I've been tutoring them. So I'm quite passionate from the get-go. So I can tap that one. And of course, in previous experiences. Number three, relationship building. It's the ability to retain and build professional relationships between peers or your coworkers, leadership, and some clients. Okay. So being a good teammate here, you build a relationship currency, as how we call it. So it is when, say, you've done enough good, enough value to your teammate that you would earn that currency. So then when you need help or assistance, right, you can ask that from a leadership, from a peer, for them to help you in that particular endeavor. Okay. And number four, people management. It is the ability to be able to advocate, hire, develop, lead teammates aligned with the organization's goals or missions, right? So understanding that your team's success is as much as yours. So when I say advocate for hire, is that, say, for example, in my role now, if I've received an excellent service, say, for example, from a waitress at a restaurant, amazing customer service, because I'm also a hiring manager, I would outright ask for that person, right? Like, how interested are you? Do you like what you do? Talking to clients and stuff like that. So that is advocating for hire, right? You want people to be in the same wavelength as you, more likely. So now, as a hiring manager, these are also some of the skills or attributes that I'm looking for from a candidate. So when I'm hiring for a customer experience associate, when I'm hiring for a frontline lead, when I'm hiring for, say, an advisor to join our team. So I'm constantly looking for a candidate who is driven, who plans for a career, because I do want someone in my team who wants to grow. All right. So if we move to the next slide, I'd like to talk about a specific program that has been quite instrumental in my growth with Scotiabank and continues to be valuable for a lot of Scotiabankers. Knowing where we wanted to go is one thing, but having to be given the path on how to get there is purely gold. So it also allows employees to advance their careers without being uprooted or relocated like it used to be. So before I joined the bank, it's a common story or testament that say, oh, you wanted to be a branch manager, there's going to be an opening in Windsor, right? So, or there's going to be an opening in Toronto, but you are in Kingston, right? So gone are those days, because this is purely employee driven, that introduces clear path for career. So one, there are 3 pillars associated with it. So one is client centric. Everything that we do is to help build meaningful relationships with our clients. Number 3 is focus on the growth of the employees, 2 and 3. So it is equipping all employees with the valuable skills. So this goes hand in hand with, when it says milestones there, this goes hand in hand with proficiency in the job that you're doing or role, right? So it goes with performance. Number 2, it goes with accreditation or education. So there are some licenses that are attached to these particular milestones. One of them is like having a mutual fund representative designation, right? So there's that. And of course, Scotiabank has this platform where if you started as a customer service experience associate and you wanted to progress your career, you can apply for this particular accreditation. The bank covers for it, right? So while you're also doing your job, you're also growing professionally. And of course, allows employees, like I said, to progress their roles through a model that introduces a clear and transparent career path that is purely driven by them. Okay. And on the next slide, I can share with you one path when you join Canadian banking. So I represent Canadian banking in retail. So this is like all of the branches, physical branches that you may have seen or have checked out, right? Even where you are. So we are that. So you can go in as, if you're a newcomer it did pay me well when I applied as a customer associate, experience associate, because I get to familiarize myself with how the banking industry works in Canada, right? And at the same time, my one of the biggest motivation is that as a newcomer, I'm always looking for strategies to stretch my financial capacity because I came here with some investments or some savings, but at the same time, I want this money to grow for me and my family. Okay. So not only did it help me career wise, but it also helped me to be financially better by having this firsthand understanding of the financial industry. So from a customer experience associate, you can then now shift through Elevate, right, to be a senior experience associate. So this is a role now that is like a hybrid between a frontline advisor and a banking advisor. Okay. And then from here, a lot of people could already jump to being a financial advisor, given that they've already attained some basic accreditation for licenses. Next to this step is you could also be the lead. So you could be the overseer of all frontline advisors or CEAs, and you are now part of a branch leadership team. Okay, and then from there, you could now be a banking financial or banking advisor or financial advisor, and then move your way up until you get to say an investment specialist. So, and then if you don't want to get into the investment side, there is also a path wherein you could be mortgage specialist, home financing advisors, or small business advisors, and stuff like that. And then, of course, like in my path, I'm on the management or leadership route. So I'm currently as an assistant manager and currently working on my designations to be a branch manager and also working on a few things in the community as a board of directorship. Okay. But then again, all you needed to do is to be genuine and get into the industry, because once you get into, say, Scotiabank, lateral movements are available, right? Meaning to say you can go into HR, you can go into IT if you have a special unique skill set for that. You can go into recruitment, you can go into wealth management, and all of the other wonderful roles that are available at your fingertips. Okay. So that's it for my journey. And I hope that in your journey, you're finding console and confidence that there is no one way of getting where you want it to be, but make sure that you reflect, take a beat, and consult some experts. And now we can open the table for questions.
Great. Thank you so much to our speakers. Thank you, Rochelle, Kelvin, and Megs, for such a comprehensive presentation and also for sharing your own personal stories as immigrants. It's always great to hear from people who are immigrants who've succeeded in their own ways. So thank you for that. So Rochelle has provided us with a comprehensive overview of Scotiabank's commitment and work around diversity, equity, and inclusion. Thank you for that. And Kelvin and Megs have provided us with a lot of practical tips and advice on finding advice in the banking space and growing your careers. So let me start off with a question that has come in for Rochelle. You mentioned the employee research groups. How many people are usually in these groups, and are these people from all across the country?
Yes, Ramya, thank you for the question. So our employee resource groups are global. It's across Canada. It's also at global level where we have employee resource groups for the US, for the UK market. I will speak just on behalf of Canada specifically. So the numbers differ for each group. There's no fixed number. It depends on what group it is. So just to kind of give some background, we have, like, for example, a people of color employee resource group. It would consist of about 200 to 300 people. And that is typically led by a board of directors. So like there's a board where somebody leads it, then there's a co-director, and then there's like a specific committee who plans events, programs, mentorship opportunities. We also work with many community partners. So the employee resource groups also work with community partners where they get these programs specific to that group. So let's say it's a newcomer group, and we are partnered with Access as well. So we do get a lot of opportunities where we can go, do mentorship sessions. There is educational sessions provided by community partners. So there's lots and lots happening at each group. The numbers differ based on what group it is.
Thank you for that. There is a question that's come in about qualifications. What if I don't have 100% of qualifications? Say just meet 80% of qualifications. Should I still apply? We've actually had career coaches speak at events before who've said, take a chance. So I'd like to hear your thoughts about this. Rochelle, would you? Yeah.
Yeah, okay, no worries. I can go for that. So in terms of, so I'll give you my experience as in the talent acquisition space when it comes to qualifications. So when we post jobs, okay, we always put in terms of what are the minimum basic requirements and what is nice to have. So for example, I'll just give an example, like a financial advisor. There is a certification needed in order to kind of like become the certified financial advisor, right? So there are some must to have and there are some nice to have. We as a recruitment team and as a talent acquisition team, we're always looking at transferable skills, always looking at transferable skills. So we look at, and something very similar to what Meek shared, okay? How the person is. Is the person authentic? Do they have leadership qualities? We look at a lot of soft skill aspect than the technical aspect. So technical aspect, yes, the must-haves should have been met. The nice to have is just a nice to have. We still like to put it out there. But the must to have, like if it's a certification, like if you're applying for a job in audit, you do need to have a certification in order to become an auditor. Or in order to join finance, you do need a certification, like a financial, like a chartered accountancy course. But if your must to have is met, then we do focus a lot. Our interview process is focused a lot on the soft skill aspect. So I hope I answered the question. But if there are more probing questions to my response, like I'm happy to take this offline as well.
That's great. And thank you for stressing soft skills. And Kelvin has also spoken about, and Megs, about the need to be authentic. So thank you for that. Kelvin, this is a question for you. You've said that 40 odd percent of hires are through employee referrals. Will jobs still be posted on your external website? So I guess they're asking, are these jobs posted, or is it only through networks that you can find the jobs?
Every single job will be posted in our career website, and that is connected through APIs to different platforms. So it's connected to Indeed, one of the most used to platform in Canada. Then it's connected to LinkedIn, and it is also connected to different platforms. So when candidates are looking for opportunities, they either go on LinkedIn or they go on LinkedIn, Indeed or Monster. Our jobs will be reflecting there, until if we have a pre-identified candidate, and if the candidate is an internal candidate, only then the role will be posted internally. But otherwise, 90% of the roles are all posted external.
90%. Okay, great. That's good to know. Another question for you, Kelvin. You spoke about IT. Do you have openings in AI?
We do have a lot of openings in data engineering, and we also have data scientist hiring that's going on. Specifically towards AI, I don't have informations on that right now, but I would encourage the team to go on to our career portal and see if there is anything relevant to what they're looking for. If yes, they can connect with me directly. And I also read a question where somebody said that they have a PhD in computer science and they are a senior data scientist, and they would like to understand if the experience would be counted or if they would be disqualified as overly qualified. If you are a PhD in a computer science and if you apply to the right role, I'm sure, I mean, it will not be discounted as overqualified. There is an interview process, and I'm sure, I mean, we can discuss this offline as well. But for the right opportunity, it'll always be counted. But if we are applying for a junior data scientist role where we don't need a PhD or a bigger qualification, then there is a possibility that I mean, there is a possibility to kind of discount the experience as well.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Megs, I'm going to come to you. You mentioned hand delivering resumes pre-COVID. Do you think that's still effective, or would it be seen more as a bother to managers nowadays?
No, I would actually say it is still going, like, especially nowadays that looking for a job going into winter season is a little bit tricky, right? So we just recently had a few candidates who came here well dressed. They've submitted through Scotiabank Careers, but at the same time, they presented themselves to a hiring manager. To us, that is not a bothersome because it only shows the dedication and commitment of that candidate of wanting to join the company and how serious and motivated they are of joining our company. So it is actually highly appreciated.
I wouldn't have thought that. So thank you for that. So what you're saying very clearly is reach out to the hiring manager, not the person that this role will be reporting to, right?
Well, because I'm in a branch level, we do
Uh-huh.
get a lot of applicants like that. Hey, I've submitted this through Scotiabank Careers. There's a posting, and I believe it is this for location. And I just wanted to say that this is my resume. If you can find time to review my credentials, I'm happy to chat as well if you've got a few minutes. And to me, it's like as a hiring manager, boy, I'd love to have this person. One, courageous. Number two, taking the initiative, you know? So that is highly appreciated.
Okay, very good. Thank you for sharing that information I didn't know myself. So this is a general question. Do you value international relevant experience in hiring for commercial or business banking? Or is it a must to have Canadian qualifications or experience to land the same role as you are in currently internationally, I guess, before they move to Canada?
I guess I could take that. So, again, there are different roles that are quite technical, and yes, therefore, you should have an experience, right? Not really saying that your experience overseas is discounted, but at the same time, it's also how you present, that you are quality candidate for that role, right, during your interview. And at the same time, if you come with, say, an equivalent of an accreditation, that is also not discounted. If you come with a number of years of experience, that is also not discounted, because it's true, like, things may have worked or policies may have worked differently where you're coming from, but it doesn't change the fact that the job may be similar. So
Okay.
I'm answering that from operations side, yes.
I can add to Meg's point. When it comes to technology, irrespective of where we write the code is the same. So we do kind of consider experience outside Canada as well.
Okay, great.
And I'd like to add to that as well. So we do also have a newcomer hiring program. We encourage all our hiring managers to hire newcomers. So irrespective whether internationally worked, unless that role requires local experience, and typically it would be more of a sales role, just knowing the market, all of the jobs are open to international experience.
Thank you. So, do you recommend applying to more than one job position for the same organization at the same time if you feel you're qualified for more than one role?
I can take this question. So what happens is we have an application tracking system that every recruiter and hiring manager has access to, and the recruiter would be able to see the list of applications, list of role a particular candidate has applied for. Now, if there is a huge variation, somebody applying for a business analyst, and then suddenly you see them for QA, then suddenly you see them for a financial analyst, and suddenly you see them for a customer support role, then it actually confuses the recruiter and the hiring manager as to what the candidate really wants. So you can apply for any role, any number of role. I mean, you want to, if you feel that the job description matches your resume, even if it is like 60, 80, or 100%. But make sure that the titles are aligned. If you're applying for software engineering, then it could be like software development, testing, anything around those lines where I've told you. I mean, when it comes to developers, then there is a component of coding. The same goes for functional, same goes for networking, same goes for any roles within mix world as well. If you're looking for a financial analyst, then it has to be in the same lines, right? So that otherwise, I mean, it becomes very difficult for me, especially when I see the same candidate applying for 10 different roles, having 10 different, job titles not relevant to one to each other, then it becomes very difficult for me to screen the candidate card.
That's right. So yeah, so if I may just add to that, so how to call this? There are also instances that one, you got to be aligned with what you're applying for. So as like what Kelvin mentioned, not to confuse the recruiter. What are you actually looking for as a job, right? But also we've got some instances in the Canadian banking sector is that, say for example, a candidate applied for a senior post, but also at the same time there is a manager, say, post available. We've also encountered applicants wherein they said, "Oh, Mr. Recruiter or hiring manager, if I'm not the successful candidate for the senior role, I'd like to be highly considered for the manager post," right? So as long as you're communicating that as well, and like I said, like Kelvin mentioned, you got to be consistent with the sectors or line of work that you're applying for. It can't be just a huge disparity in department.
Okay, thanks. Rochelle, anything else to add to that? You're good. Okay, great.
Thank you.
So this is a very broad question. Maybe you could point to a resource. If I want to write the certification for a financial advisor, where do I start?
Awesome. All right. So I can take on this one. So, as a financial advisor, yes, we do require a designation in mutual fund representative. It starts there, right? If you are taking the initiative, depending on where you are, if you are still in your home country, I wouldn't recommend that you would start the course because this is very specific to Canadian securities, right, to the investment realm. So normally, if you are here in Canada, I would say you can go to www.cifps.ca. There is also another pathway, which is CSI. So you can definitely enroll yourself there proactively to get that license immediately. So when you pass that exam, you would be given that timeline. Usually it's 2 years for you to be sponsored by an institution that is registered, like the bank, say Scotiabank, right? So meaning to say you have to get into a role that sponsors that certification. Okay, so that's being proactive. However, like a lot of international hires that we had in our community, like they've started as a banking advisor designation, meaning to say they don't have the license yet, but the moment that they get into the role, they immediately enroll for that mutual fund course, which the bank also pays for, right? And then while they're working, they're still earning income, not losing valuable financial resources, and at the same time growing and getting that accreditation required for the role.
Thank you for that. So there are a few other questions. Rochelle, I see that you've been responding to the questions, a few of the questions. So you did mention that they could contact you directly, people with questions. Did you want to share your email or perhaps in the chat or just a generic email address that questions could be sent to?
Is there a way where probably you could share the questions to us and then we can respond to that?
We can do that, but there are also questions that come up that have
No
come up.
worries. What I can do is, if that's okay, I can share my LinkedIn profile here. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn and ask whatever questions that you may have, and I will respond to you at the earliest. If there's a question that does not pertain specific to me, I will surely get back to everyone.
Okay. Can I suggest that you provide a generic email address like info at or something, and then people in their subject line can say Rochelle or to Kelvin. Is that something you could do?
We actually don't have generic email addresses. Sorry about that. We actually don't have it. But I can share my email. That's fine. I can share my email here. And
Or,
Hi,
you know, like,
everyone. We can also take questions to info@canadianimmigrant.ca and pass them along as well, Ramya. So that's a great option.
yeah,
Okay,
that would be
that's
great. And
what
I've
I
also
was-
put my LinkedIn address here on the chat. I'm more than happy. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. After we've connected, I will definitely come back and respond to your question.
Excellent. So, Laura, that's what I was going to say. Thank you. So, send us an email at info@canadianimmigrant.ca with the name of the person you would like to contact in the subject line of the email. So, we're going to wrap up our excellent session today. Thank you so much to everyone who've attended, and to our presenters, Rochelle, Kelvin, Megs. Thank you so much. A very, very comprehensive presentation. And we will be sharing a recording of this webinar online on our website. So you could always go back if you've missed anything and watch it again. And feel free to share this with colleagues or others in your network who might not have had time to attend this discussion today. So once again, special thanks to our presenters, Kok, Rochelle, Kelvin, and Max. And if you have questions, once again, I'm going to say go to info@canadianimmigrant.ca. And if you haven't signed up, we have a weekly newsletter where we have a number of experts and writing articles on the website, and we feature those articles in our weekly newsletter. So thank you so much, everyone, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Guys, thank